today set to elect a new mayor following Patricia De Lille's resignation last week. The DA's mayoral candidate, Dan Plato, is most likely going to make that cut and take over at the helm. And this at a time where the party's caucus has also been shaken by the resignation of a number of other councillors along with De Lille, and some of them resigning in solidarity with the outgoing, the previous mayor. And Dan Plato joins us now from our Sea Point studios in Cape Town. Thank you so much for coming through and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
Mr. Plato, let's start here. Obviously, a divided DA caucus. What will be your priority in taking over?
Well, not divided anymore. I think we've resolved almost all of our internal issues. That is out of the window, and I can now focus on what we must do as a municipality, and that is to pay attention to service delivery matters and issues. And it's exactly what we are going to do.
Well, you seem very confident in saying that you've resolved all those issues. What were they, if I may ask?
Well, there were division. There were issues pertaining to the former mayor, Patricia De Lille, and the Democratic Alliance leadership. Obviously, you are quite right when you referred to the fact that some councillors side and with Patricia De Lille and walk with Patricia. I think we overcome all of those issues. I do not expect many more councillors to walk with the former mayor. I had a discussion with the former mayor over the last couple of days, and we also built our own sort of relationship. And at the end of the day, I am of the opinion that we can move forward with the greatest of confidence. And I visited many councillors, talked to many councillors over the last couple of days and weeks, even up to Sunday past. And that is why I can confidently say that issues resolved and we can just looking ahead.
I think, encouraging for you, but it will leave some of us still question if one takes as evidence, for example, that motion of no confidence against Patricia De Lille when she was still mayor. And it was much more than just the 7 members that have resigned in solidarity with her this time around. But you say you are confident that you have healed those divisions and there are no more factions within the Democratic Alliance in the city of Cape Town.
Look, factionalism was one of the issues and one of the key issues. My taking when I addressed the City of Cape Town caucus some plus minus 3 weeks ago was we are not here for our own self-interest. We are not here to look into ourselves with regard to what we can get out of politics and how we should do our business at the city. Fact of the matter is we are here appointed for the interest of the public. And currently the public was lacking behind. Their interest was not paid the necessary attention to. I vowed to restore that, and we are here to serve the public to the best of our abilities to ensure there is effective service delivery. And my message was quite clear. There's only one Democratic Alliance. There's not a secondary or another party and that sort of thing as part of the Democratic Alliance City of Cape Town caucus. And if people is of the opinion that they doesn't belong there, they need to decide at the end of the day what they want to do. So it was frank talks, and we understood one another. Luckily for me, I'm coming in without those baggage on my shoulders, with a clear vision, and that is what I'm going to do, and I think the colleagues around me understand just that.
You say that as it pertains to the public, the people of Cape Town, their issues perhaps were placed on the back burner as the political ramifications played out. What would you say is the priority that needs to be addressed concerning the people of Cape Town?
One issue and one issue alone, and that is their interests, services. effective, efficient service delivery. That is what was lacking. That is what was impacting. That is the complaints I received the moment the Democratic Alliance announced me as the preferred candidate for the mayoralship. I received tens and tens of calls and messages and mails. And it was clear to me the public did not like what is happening in the city, what is happening with regard to services. And I vow to restore that. Effective services, efficient services will return to the citizens of the city of Cape Town, and that is what I'm going to do.
What does that mean in practical terms? What are you going to do? Where are you going to go, and what sort of services will you be delivering?
In practical terms, we will have to ensure that we do what a municipality are there to do. And that is to ensure that we provide them with the necessary services, that the refuse is collected. Many people are saying to me they wait till late at night for the dust bins to be cleaned and to be collected. Paying attention to water issues. Taps dry and so forth, and it's 2-3 days before a council vehicle arrive to deal with that particular issue. All of those issues impacting on proper services, effective services, impacting on the work of the councillor because the complaints piling up and so forth. I think to be streetwise, to be in the streets, to listen to the people and to deal with their issues almost immediately, to get council to work again not for our self-interest but for the public out there. That is why we're appointed in these positions. Not myself alone. I won't be the only person to do that. I'm having a team with me, a team of councillors. I think there's enough brain power, enough drive in the Democratic Alliance in the city of Cape Town to pull the tide around and to get the vehicle back on track again. That is what is going to happen. And at the end of the officials, the officials didn't know many at times what to do themselves, to whom to listen. It sounds as if they were leaderless and so forth. And I will lead the pack, I will lead the team for the benefit of the citizens of the city.
And speaking of services, housing, of course, one of the priorities as it is across the country. The city's integrated development plan. Talk to us about that, especially against a backdrop of the city of Cape Town being accused of gentrification.
Look, I think for that specific one, you need to wait for my speech. That specific issue will be addressed this morning in my inaugural speech. I don't want to say much about it right now.
Is there any merit to the accusation that there is gentrification taking place in the city of Cape Town?
At the end of the day, gentrification, getting housing development nearer to the workplace, nearer to the city centre, all of those issues will be addressed.
But the question I'm asking more directly, Mr. Plato, is there any truth to that allegation that there is gentrification taking place in the city of Cape Town?
I'm not so sure about that. You must remember, I receive also lots of interested groups, interested NGOs and those people with their own issues pertaining to gentrification, pertaining to housing developments. I can debate with you a number of issues this morning with regard to Salt River, with regard to Woodstock and the housing, social housing issues and developments. My problem now is I don't want to say far too much, then I'm going to deliver my speech to you right now, and I don't think that will be appropriate.
And I'm not asking for that, but perhaps what would be effective if you could give me an example and say, here is an example of why I believe that that allegation is perhaps untested.
Look, if I could open the door a little bit for you, Sakina, in my speech, I will pay attention to some extent to refer to that untruth in your statement. Fact of the matter is we need to turn apartheid, spatial developmental programs, we need to turn it around. We need to get people more nearer to the city centre. We need to develop what we can develop more to the workplace and that sort of thing. And many of those issues will happen.
One of the things I saw you make mention of over the past couple of days is that the city needs to communicate better, and I couldn't agree with you more. And on the issue of day zero, which is now a thing of the past, did the city communicate to the citizens of Cape Town that they actually paid for 100% of some of the interventions that the city came up with, like the desalination process, for example?
Sakina, look, I'm very glad with what the city have done so far with regard to day zero, that they could manage to push day zero back, that day zero is almost out of the window. We now need to look ahead and forward. My taking is we still need to save water as far as we can. But we don't want a similar drought situation where we are caught with our pants down. Look, one of the issues to prevent another day zero is desalination. And desalination, as you're aware, is a very costly issue. But at the end of the day, you are quite right. It is how you communicate your decisions with the citizens. And I also vow to do that. Our communication needs to be proper. But with regard to one of the issues you referred to, looking at the tariff situation, many citizens complain about a lot. In my speech, I will also deal with that specific issue.
Well, Mr. Plato, thanks so much for stopping by this morning, and no doubt we'll be listening to that particular speech. Dan Plato is the DA's mayoral candidate for the city of Cape Town, and he's expected to be elected to replace Patricia De Lille, who of course replaced him previously as the mayor of Cape Town. We'll be listening to that speech, and hopefully we'll get Mr. Plato back with more detail with regard to some of those services, the gentrification and also the communication to the citizens of the city of Cape Town. We're going to take a quick break.